What's going on? Just wanted to do a quick Tuesday recap. I'm going to try to get a video out every single day this week because I'm actually flying to San Diego to visit some family the 13th of this month, and I'll be gone for a week. So I most likely won't be trading, and I'll be MIA for a bit. So I want to get a decent amount of videos out before that happens. So as far as the recap on today was a little frustrating. I ended up basically having pretty much a break-even day. And just to go over numbers, go over everything real quick, I took two trades. I took a long on MAR and I took a short on HTZ, both for very small wins, basically break-even trades, and I made 14 bucks. So scratch even, basically covered commissions, up like a couple dollars after commissions. So quickly to get this out of the way, the account is at 738. So just trying to slowly grind back and get back a lot of the losses that I gave back last week. So as far as to go over everything. So, when I woke up this morning and I took a look at SPY, SPY looked good, right? SPY was gapping up. A lot of tech names were gapping up. Tesla has been on an absolute tear today. A lot of the tech names look strong. Crazy enough, Apple looks strong again. This thing is on an absolute, this thing is just ripping. And so I thought that, we may have a strong morning. Gapped up, everything may push. So I was really trying to find some stuff that looked really good on the long side. I ended up coming up with, I try to limit my watch list so I don't get too overwhelmed. And the four stocks that I ended up, really liking were MAR, W, CBI, and Hertz. And then, so as far as the one I liked a lot, which was W. And unfortunately, this thing had a nasty spread. And I almost wanted to get in this like very quick off the open, but the spread was really, really, really spready. And I didn't want to have to take a risk into dealing with the spread. So I ended up avoiding this stock. And what do you know? This thing absolutely ripped. So this thing went from, right around that 57-ish. It pushed all up to 62, a massive move in there. And so I ended up, avoiding that because the spread was just, wasn't comfortable, trading a stock so spready. So I ended up avoiding that. Unfortunately, that would have been a massive opportunity. MAR. So right off the bat, this thing sold off and then basically, was just trying to see if this thing had a little red to green play. And sold off. Then, had a push, buyers started to come in. I ended up taking this long at 101.42. So I ended up taking it long, like right there. And, it was a little choppy. And then finally, this thing ended up on this candle, had to push up to 101.75. So similar to yesterday, I'm now almost 35 cents in the money, and I'm doing the whole, I don't want to see this trade go red. And then what do you know? This thing ends up pulling to the 9 EMA, only going to a low of 101.28. I ended up getting out before that, not letting it go red for basically a break-even trade, and then this thing continues with some serious strength. So I think I'm being way too defensive, and I think I'm trading kind of a little scared. So that is something that I have to work on because, I'm trying to be, defense first at all times now just because of how crazy I let things get. So just being very defensive, and sometimes that means, missing out on a trade. But at the same time, this had an opportunity to be a very big trade. I had my eyes on the right stock. I even got into the right stock, and I didn't let it play out. So I have to do much better with being able to stay in it, let it give me a real reason to get out, have my stop, and then just listen to it, not be as defensive. I still want to be very defensive, but I got to be a little smarter too because, this is a little ridiculous. I got out without really a real reason. This thing was consolidating above VWAP, had the 9 EMA. This ended up, selling off right into and then strongly pushing up off of, breaking above pre-market highs. And, it would have been a very, very good trade. And this thing, from where I got in at 101.42, had, morning highs of, about a point. And anything, 50, 60, 70 cents, typically where I, take profits. So it would have been a very good trade. So a little disappointing there. I'm being too defensive. I think I'm being just a little scared because of the big loss I took. I know how quickly things can change, so I'm not letting them go red. And, that's all right, but I have to do a better job as far as rather than not letting them go red, maybe just have a stop that's close or up the stop a bit, because this would have been, a very good trade, and I didn't let it work out. And HTZ, I happened to give this a shot. This thing had, a sell-off. I missed that because I was paying attention to some other stuff. Had a push up to, just above VWAP, and then kind of hit this 9, the 9 EMA, and then this thing broke down below VWAP. VWAP was at 23. I took it short at 22, so just below the break of VWAP. And then this thing ended up going to the low of 1205, and it couldn't break the whole number. Put in a lower high, and as soon as this thing started to make a push back up, I bailed, because I've been in a position like this before, and it can go against you pretty hard. And I've been in the positions where it goes against me hard, or I just get stopped out. And when this thing couldn't break the low, couldn't break below 12, I felt like, I didn't know how much momentum it had left. So I ended up taking off at 12.20 for a 2-cent gain. And this one happened to be a good bail, because this thing obviously squeezed, and I'm sure there were a lot of people that were short that, felt some of this pain. So, being defensive played off on one stock here. HTZ ended up being, a good bail on that for, pretty much a scratch trade, a small gain. But the MAR, the MAR was just a little ridiculous. I think I was just fearfully trading that, or, kind of in the money and then having a little bit of fear to let it go red or whatever it is. So I gotta work on that, and then really let him play out, because this ended up being, being pretty good setup. This thing just slowly grinded up and tightened up, and eventually broke above pre-market highs and ripped. I was in it for almost 10 minutes, and sadly enough, that 10 minutes is a long time for me, so I have to learn how to hang in there a little longer, especially being that volatility is at like 20-year lows, right? So I feel like stocks have their moves pretty quick off the open, like within the first hour, and then they kind of slow down, especially the larger stocks. So kind of have to play around that and realize that if I have to hang in there a little longer, you got to hang in there a little longer, and be able to, to see the trade through, because this would have been a good opportunity, and I shot myself in the foot on that one. So that is it. Once again, I'll quickly go over the numbers. Only 2 trades, 400 shares each, so at least I'm getting a little bit more comfortable trading, a consistent share size, which is 400 for break even. So scratch on the day. If there's, to quickly go over, good and bad, I would say if there is any good, the HTZ was a good bail, because I noticed the lower high, and had noticed that this thing was, almost, kind of pushing up towards VWAP again, and could potentially, hold that, and I cut the, the position quick, which would have been, an easy stop out. At least, it is a green day. It's only $14, but decent amount of green days in a row. The bad is that MAR, it really didn't give me a reason to get out. I just ended up taking the position off just because of a gut feeling to get out, which, that's not good. I need to let these things play out, because this would have been a very good trade and could have easily been, a few $100 on the day had I let it just, had I been a little bit more patient. So these are just some things I got to work on. I think the big loss last Monday rattled me a little bit, and I really have to get over that, and be able to just take a trade, have the risk, and let it rock. So that's what I'll be working on. Hopefully everybody's having a good day, and I will see you guys later.